Who is the mystery passenger? By the impatient standards of today's militant youth, this man is a square. He doggedly believes that the American system, with all its faults, works. But outside the establishment, few people ever heard of Edgar F. Kaiser, age 60, or are they aware of his considerable impact on American life. He belongs to a new breed of tycoons most Americans have yet to discover. Men with a more worldly outlook, a broader commitment to their community and their country. A White House aide describes him as a doer with dedication and humility. A labor leader finds him unworried about his country club image or the class struggle. A cabinet member calls him a Renaissance man, 100% real, almost impossible to fault. Kaiser flies 250,000 miles a year on company and public business from his Eagle Mountain iron mine outside Palm Springs to Australia, to Pakistan, South America, South Bend, and back. He runs a nearly $3 billion corporate sprawl, building dams, making chemicals, aluminum, and steel, manufacturing jeeps, electronic equipment, and even raising model communities with operations in 34 states and 50 foreign countries. But does America, the land of opportunity he believes in, still exist? Some people insist, and I wonder what your reaction is, that a great deal of success or failure depends on luck, good or bad. Now, for instance, here is Henry Kaiser, and here is another man. Both of them are dedicated and committed and hardworking. And this fellow over here has a series of tragedies, some kind or another. Kaiser surmounts them. Kaiser succeeds and the other man fails.
I think there is some luck in it.
There is some luck in it.
Certainly. I think there's what you call it, luck or coincidence, timing. I can think of incidents in his life that he told me about. He was down and out, no money, sitting on a porch in Florida, looking dejected. A man by the name of Brown walks by and says, "Young man, what's wrong with you?" to my father. "Why, you look like you just had lost all faith here, no discouraged." Discussion of that kind. My father says, "I have." "What's your trouble?" "Mother's sick." Says my father, "I'm out of money. I have no job. I can't do what I want to do." "What do you want to do?" "I want to be a photographer." "You do?" So they start to talk. And that answer is the man loans them $4,000 to go in the photography business in Daytona, Florida.
A stranger?
A stranger, complete on the porch. Summer resort. Never saw him before, and that's the start of Brown and Kaiser. The photography business in Daytona Beach, Florida. Well, now, what's the coincidence of Mr. Brown and Mr. Kaiser being on the porch at the same time in Daytona Beach, Florida? That. Now, certainly, my father handled himself apparently well to gain Mr. Brown's confidence, but that is coincidence.
What got him to move from photography to construction?
My father said this is the era of going west, and went to Spokane, Washington. Got a job as in a hardware store. And I'd love to tell you about that.
Do.
He's decided that a particular store, and it happened to be McGowan's in Spokane, was the place he wanted to work. So he went to see them several times. Mr. McGowan turned him down, said, "I don't need anybody." Finally, he said to Mr. McGowan, "You have some old silver up in the attic. I saw it, Mr. McGowan. If I could have a job polishing that, why, then we could put it on sale, move it for you." So he'd been upstairs a couple of days polishing this silver. Goes down to see Mr. McGowan. Says, "Mr. McGowan, I'd like to hire 30 boys or whatever it was to help me clean this silver." Mr. McGowan says, "You're fired." "No," he says, "seriously." He said, "If you let me do this, I'll have it cleaned in a couple of days. I'll be up there a couple of 3 weeks doing this, and we'll put on the sale right away and make it." And that answer is they hired the 28 or 30 people, whatever it was. They had the sale, and a year and a half later, Mr. Kaiser was general manager of the hardware store. And that's the change from photography to hardware business. And then logically, it worked into the construction business. Reason? The hardware business in those days was like today's drugstore. It sold everything, including building materials. And he sold sand and gravel. Sand and gravel was the most profitable item, so he concentrated on it. Pretty soon that led him into the construction business, because the basic business of the sand and gravel people was selling construction jobs. And he thought that'd be a good business. So as soon as he could, formed his own company and started in construction, and that's our start.
You're dealing with crises daily, even sometimes hourly, whether it has to do with big decisions in the Kaiser Corporation or something to do with government, such as the President's Committee on Urban Housing. In the intervals between these things, what do you do to recharge your batteries? What do you do to relax?
It's the boat. I enjoy working on the boat. I enjoy polishing it, cleaning it, literally. It's a relaxation. I don't have to have a committee meeting about it. I don't have to agree with anybody on which rag I use or what kind of polish. I just go do it. And I enjoy it. There's a wonderful story about that. One of my very close friends in India, who's quite an industrialist and with whom we're associated, came to visit us at Orcas. And he went out on our boat, and something spilled on the deck. And I got down on my hands and knees immediately, got the stuff, and started washing it with teak bright and trying to get the spots out of the deck. And he speaks, as you know some of them do, with a very, Edgar, he says, what's wrong in this country? Are the taxes that high? Can't you afford somebody to clean that up for you?
What did you tell him?
I told him what I told you. G.D., I enjoy doing this. And he didn't understand it at all, and still doesn't.
Actively regard government at the highest level, and in some respects government at any level, as the enemy. How do you regard government?
I regard government as being absolutely forced to take on the things that I say business because I'm talking about my own field, has failed to do, and therefore the government has to take it on.